morning. It is 23 minutes after 7 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning from Loveless Regional Hospital, we have their new family medicine provider, Sarah East, with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today? Thanks for spending some time with us.
Oh, really good. Bright and early.
Yeah, I know this is probably because I think when you first get into the office, which is probably here pretty soon, normally. You hit the ground running. So I appreciate this. Makes your day just a little bit longer, so I appreciate that.
No, it'll be good, actually. I'm looking forward to it. Today is my first full day in the clinic of seeing full patients, and so I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, good deal. So now tell for folks, give a little. Her and I were talking. We actually chewed the same piece of ground together for a little bit there. She's from the Holloman area, so we were talking a little bit about that. But give folks a little bit of background here, just to where you're from and how you got into medicine. Yeah,
so born and raised at Holloman Air Force Base. My dad's Navy. My mom was a civilian at Holloman. And so I went to high school in Alamogordo. I did my undergraduate schooling in Las Cruces, so I have a bachelor's in microbiology with 4 minors. And then from Las Cruces, I moved on to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is near Miami, and that's where I did my medical training at Nova Southeastern.
Nice.
So I graduated in 2009, and from there, my husband and I were, world's the limit, where are we going to go? And we chose to come here to Roswell, New Mexico, and I've been here since then.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, see, the fact that you completed the doctor side of things in Fort Lauderdale means that you're very dedicated, because most people that go to school in Fort Lauderdale find out there's a lot of things to do in Fort Lauderdale, and schooling's not always one.
I know. No, it's a great vacation place, but you don't want to live there and raise a family. I'm going to put it that way.
But you were able to stay focused.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Very cool. But I imagine that's got to be a change.
It was a big change.
From Alamogordo, New Mexico to Fort Lauderdale.
I haven't seen the ocean before then. When I got off the plane, I never knew what humidity was before.
Oh, yeah.
And, I come from wearing sweaters to going over there, and I was sweating at 8 in the morning.
Now you know what all the East Coasters complain about.
Yes.
When they talk about it's a dry heat, and they're like, okay.
Yeah. No, dry heat's much different.
It's like, no, I do like that dry heat.
Yeah.
But, well, very cool. So, I imagine were you, coming back here to New Mexico, is that something you wanted to do? Like, you were like, you know what, now that this is where I want to come back to my home, my part of the country here.
Family is here. And so my mom, was still here in New Mexico. My husband's family is still here. And so it just kind of made sense. Our focus was getting our careers going, raising a family. And so it was just the best opportunity for us to come back here.
Very good.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about, obviously your family practice. So that kind of jack of all trades here. You have to kind of, you see you're the front line, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And take care of most things. But if it's something that needs a specialist, then that's kind of what you do. You kind of come in and triage, what everyone's needs are as a family here. And then if they hope, most of it you can do yourself.
Yeah, I do a lot of things myself as well, especially after doing it for a while now. Just to give you a little bit of background, I started off originally in cardiology.
Okay.
And so I did that for 6 years. And then from there, I moved on to primary care. Now, I only do 18 and over. I don't do children.
Okay.
But I've been doing the primary care since then, and I love it. So I do multiple procedures. I can do all joint injections. I do Botox for migraines. I love all the procedures. So I try and, expand my what I can offer, my services as best as I can.
Sure.
And because we're rural, specialty is a little bit more scarce here.
Absolutely.
And so I try and do as much as I can before I have to refer out.
That's something I was going to mention to you, because you growing up in Alamogordo, you're very familiar with that style of medicine. But what most people consider rural areas here and things where we live at, yes, doctors have to be more of that jack of all trade, because there's basically you're covering more territory than say a city doctor would. And really, there's more people, more personnel. They can, all right, well, this is something more here. We're going to go here. They can kind of compartmentalize everything more, where since there's, not as many providers because it's a rural area, you come in and you just got to deal with, it could be a stubbed toe, it could be cancer and something in between. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We do all of it.
So you gotta be a jack of all trades there. I know it's like 27 sometimes, but that really is what it is.
It is. And that's what's nice about Loveless is because, yes, we do have our clinic here in Roswell, but it's nice having the bigger system in Albuquerque where we do have all those opportunities.
Sure.
And so it's really, I'm really happy to be part of the system to be able to have that backing.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what made you decide to go from cardiology to general practice or primary medicine?
Really, it was just very simple. The doctor I was working with moved to Florida.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of one of those things like, okay, well, starting a new chapter now, and that's how it happens.
Okay, very good. You want to go back to Florida, I take it.
Yeah, I was like, are we all moving back to Florida? No, we stayed.
Good deal. I would imagine, though, that kind of, and this is really medical school, because, I mean, even as a family practice provider, you still, like you said, you see everything here, but because you're coming from a specialized field, too, that probably gives you a little bit more information than the average family practice would carry in cardiology, say, because you specialized in that prior to coming over. So,
yeah.
And I would imagine, too, you could probably even diagnose some stuff that some family practice providers would miss because that's not their expertise, or they would send on to another specialist to where you could maybe even cut out a step there, I'm thinking, Well,
most family practices have a general area that they're more interested in or, take a more liking to. So my partner in the Loveless Clinic is Dr. Joel.
Another great doctor. We've had him on, yeah.
Yeah, he is excellent. And, his passion is diabetes. And so every provider always has their main passion. And so my passion has always been cardiology. So you're absolutely right. From the cardio standpoint, I do tend to, focus a lot on that.
Sure.
Just as my passion. But, we are jack of all trades, so we do focus on everything.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. If you've got diabetes and need help with diabetes management, Sarah East can help you with all of that.
I can do all of it.
Well. But I would also say that because you guys talk and chit chat and things, I imagine you compare notes and talk about, and you're like, well, I got a patient with diabetes here, and Dr. Jewel's like, I recommend you do this, this, and this, or you're having a conversation. Dr. Jewel's talking about, I got this cardio patient, and then you're like, you know what, I saw this before, and we did this, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys talk, and so you're really combining heads here sometimes on some of these things. So.
Well, we're a team, and actually a lot of the providers here in Roswell, despite which companies you work for, we are all a team. So we all tend to help each other. Just because it takes a village to raise a child. It's the same thing with helping patients, so we all kind of pick each other's brains.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, like right now, I mean, obviously we're COVID, everything's been going on here, people talking about that, but now that that's kind of dying down, we're seeing the masks and things, but I still want to remind people, and you better than you to do this, that, just because, we have the COVID world doesn't mean we don't have the regular things we always had, colds, flus, and I know we all get worried about COVID, but the things that we worried about pre-COVID aren't gone away, that haven't left. They're still here. So not everything is COVID, and you got to, protect and act accordingly for that too.
Yes. Like there's still sinus infections. There's still regular community-acquired pneumonia.
Yeah.
There's other things that can cause similar type symptoms, just allergies in general. We're a pecan land, area. And so everybody's allergic to the pecans. And so it's there. I do remind patients that just because the COVID test was negative doesn't mean that, it's nothing else. We have to test for other things too.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You take care of yourself, treat accordingly. But and vice versa. Just don't automatically assume everything's COVID.
Yeah.
That's why you get tested and, talk to your healthcare providers and get the real answers and the real treatments.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good deal. So I gotta ask, what do you like to do when you're not being a healthcare provider and do those kind of things? What do you do for fun when you get time off? I know it's not very often.
Yeah,
but.
When I get time off, well, my son plays sports, so I'm technically a sports mom.
Okay.
We're a baseball family, and then he's also taken a liking to basketball too. So originally I would just say I'm a baseball mom, but now I'm a basketball mom as well.
Okay.
And so I spend a lot of time at games. Of various sports, and then otherwise we like to travel. So if we can get out of town, we'll get out of town.
Very good.
Yeah.
Which is another one of those services you can provide, physicals and things for family members. And like you said, you deal with adults 18 over, but you still need the physicals. You still need those kind of things. So
yes,
you don't always have. I always people always just go to see a doctor when they're sick. You
Yeah.
know? And I mean, that.
Which,
people
I mean,
like,
I
well,
don't
duh.
mind that.
It's like, duh. But at the same time,
Yeah.
you know, medicine is advanced to a point now where much of it's the preventative side. You know, instead of just triaging and treating as we go, now medicine's taking that turn to preventative. And it's like, okay, you know, that's why there's all these screenings and things now for, you know, breast cancer, for colonoscopies, all the different milestones you hit when you hit in life here.
Yeah.
All those, and that's what we want to remind folks too. If you haven't been to a doctor in a while, maybe you should make an appointment. Even if you feel physically fine, let's you know, do some lab work. Let's check your heart, check your joints, do all the things they do at a physical, just to make sure you're good to go again. And I know people, you know, sometimes people hear that and it's like, ooh, get away, you know, and everything else. But really, that little trip there could save your life sometimes.
Yes, definitely. There's been a lot of times that a patient will come in just for a routine basic checkup, haven't been seen in a year or two, and we'll find something that is a surprise. And, you know, sometimes it's easy to handle, other times it may not be. And it's one of those things, if you would come in just on a regular basis, we usually catch things early.
Sure.
And, you know, 75% of my practice is preventive medicine. The other 25% would be, you know, acute care. So it's very, very important on the preventative side.
Sure.
I like to do annual labs. I always like to do regular, you know, I'll do a full physical exam. All the screenings, like you mentioned, is perfect. You actually hit that right on the nail. You know, very important to be coming in regularly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you guys, I'm just curious because is this more of an ER thing, or is it still a family practice where like kids come in because they broke their arm at soccer practice, or you come out? I mean, is that still kind of medicine you do in the family side, or is that more ER related stuff now?
Well, we do have the ER, and we also have SCORE Orthopedics, which is the ortho side of it for the broken arms. The clinic that I'm primarily in with Dr. Jewell is just more family practice, so it is the routine checkups and so forth. Obviously, we do take walk-ins occasionally, like for our patients, if you have an acute cold or anything along those lines. If you think if you fell and you think you broke something, obviously we can do x-rays and check it all. But the nice thing about, again, being tied to Loveless is we do have the hospital and we have ortho.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, where you do you're the provider, the main provider for these families. So you are that first line of defense. So, you know, if it's something like that, they may come see you on it and say, okay, well, this is what you got going on. We're going to need to take you to here to get that fixed up, which fortunately is all right there in the Loveless, you know,
vicinity
complex there. So, absolutely. So
and then the clinic is actually on Main Street, so it's right there across the street from Cattle Baron is where we're located.
And then you go a couple blocks over to the main hospital and everything right there. You could if you didn't have a broken leg, you could walk there. Just kidding.
No, we'll wheelchair you.
Just shoot you right across the highway. Just kidding. That would be pretty cool.
I'll try and run really fast.
Maybe we have a race day where you just maybe we got to get multiple over. We can just go, all right, let's go. Just kidding.
No, just kidding on that.
I got to ask you an important question, though.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure with the openings and things. Have you had a chance to eat in the Loveless Hospital cafeteria yet?
On my orientation day, I did.
Okay. Because that's kind of a thing around here. They have really good food at the Loveless Cafe. And unfortunately, not a lot of people have had a chance to enjoy it because of COVID over the last couple of years.
Right.
But that was a thing. Like, people would go to lunch at the hospital.
Yes.
Like, people, you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to the hospital for? For lunch.
For lunch.
What, do you got a doctor? No. I'm just going to have lunch.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you, I had a chicken sandwich when I was there on orientation. It was excellent.
Nice. So, if you get a chance, the breakfast burritos are delightful. So come in
thanks
for a
for the
breakfast
heads up.
burrito. Whether you want to go spicy, I mean, you've got New Mexico in your blood, so you're fine on the green chili thing. You know?
Yeah, but don't be fooled. I'm still a weakling in it.
Yeah, but you were born into it, so there's automatically a certain level you're just at, you know, and then you know you'll build up accordingly. But
I'm pretty sure my son can handle more spicier things than I can, though.
Yeah. Was your husband a spicy food connoisseur?
Oh yes, he can handle all of it.
Okay, is he from here?
So he moved here when he was 15.
Okay.
However, we didn't meet until our undergraduate in Las Cruces at New Mexico State.
Oh,
so
okay.
he did his undergrad there too, and that's where we ended up meeting. And then he moved with me to Florida, and then we moved back here together.
Okay. So what does he do for a living? If you
So
don't mind me asking.
it's okay. He's a CFO for a solar business here in town.
Okay.
Yeah. So he does solar for residencies.
So in need be, he can go where you need to be because
Yes.
everyone needs a chief financial officer at some point. or
Yes.
another.
Yeah. He's all on the accounting side. So he manages that. He just tells me how much I can spend and we go from there.
And you tell him how much he can eat and when he can
Yes,
stop.
exactly.
Right? Lay off that hot dog, bud.
we balance each other out.
Perfect. He's like, no, you can't buy that. You're
Yeah.
like, you can't eat that corn dog.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we're successful.
So, I mean, as far as, being here in New Mexico, do you guys like to, I know you said like you spend most of your time with doing the kids and sports and things,
Yeah.
but do you guys love doing outdoor stuff
Oh,
and
yeah,
things? I
yeah.
mean, going in the mountain, that's one
I
of
mean,
our,
we're in the best location because you go 1 hour west and you're in Ruidoso with the mountains. You know,
Sure.
we can go to Lubbock the other direction and go shopping of wherever you want to do. And the nice thing about it, we have our own airport, which luckily we can fly to Phoenix and Dallas now. And so it's really convenient. We like
Yeah.
this area a lot.
and I imagine, are both y'all's families in New Mexico?
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So like holidays and things, you can almost everyone meet together if everybody gets along. It's
Yeah.
another story.
No, they
But
do.
I've seen Four Christmases and all those kids movies. I know how families sometimes act during Christmas. But,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
No, it's good. We like it here. And, I've built up a great patient load. I'm really thankful for my patients. After 13 years of practicing here, it is a small town, so reputation precedes you. And I've been really fortunate to have the patients that I have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's good. And, I'm fortunate to be part of the Loveless system now, and I'm excited to move forward.
So let me ask, in the like you said, like you've done a lot of your stuff here, but you've had training in Florida. What's common ground for us here? Like like a given day, is it atypical wherever you go? Is like whatever region of the country you're in, as far as the types of cases and things you're seeing, or do you see some stuff that's unique to New Mexico that's not that you don't see at other places, or is it all the same?
I mean, in general, it's all the same. I mean, humans are humans, so
Yeah.
we all have, cardio issues, pulmonary issues, etc. Something that was more unique to the area I lived in Florida is it was one of the highest HIV areas.
Interesting.
And so a lot of it was more tailored to HIV treatment.
Okay.
Versus that's a little bit less common here. And so as far as what's specific to New Mexico, our diet and obesity is a big factor that leads to diabetes. We're not as active here. Versus in Miami, people tend to be a little bit more active. And so it's
Our
just
hot's different hot. We go
Exactly.
inside hot. They're hot. They go surfing.
Yes, exactly. So, to answer your question, there are, every region does have more specific disorders per that region, but in general, medicine is medicine. We're all humans.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I got to ask, since you, like you say, you dealt with a lot of HIV patients in Florida.
Yeah.
I'm 48. I kind of grew up younger, and I remember the AIDS outbreak, and
Yeah.
that was a death sentence and things like that. And then then over time now, people get HIV and they live full lives
Yeah.
and things. I mean, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
because I'm one of those people who's just like, it's going to kill you. Oh, we're okay now. And I grew up in an era, I just missed what happened in the middle there on some of that. I mean, is that really the case now where, you get HIV, you can pretty much prevent someone from getting full-blown AIDS?
Correct.
Almost an entire normal lifespan, right?
Yes. Yeah. Medical advances have been huge in all fields of medicine.
Yeah.
So we can cure hepatitis C for certain strains of hepatitis C. HIV has multiple antivirals that treat it now. So, it's keeping it at bay, keeping your viral load low. It's very huge medical advances over the last several years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, just think about even from the cardio standpoint, we can do valve replacements without opening up your chest.
Gotcha.
It's huge medical advances.
and this is me, Jewish curious. Once someone advances to the stage of AIDS, is there still ways to suppress it at that point, or is that when it starts to be the final stages of it?
Yeah, once you get to the actual AIDS stage, it is a little bit harder to suppress. But again, it's about keeping it at bay, trying to
Gotcha.
manage it.
But still, it's not like, okay, you got it. You've got months or days to live now.
Put it in comparison to when we first learned about what COVID was. So in March of 2020, we thought if you got COVID, it was a death sentence. Now we're 2 years later, we realize there's treatments for it. Patients do get sick from it, but they'll go to the hospital and, hopefully the medicine works and takes care of them.
Something they can manage their lives with.
Something that's more manageable. And so it's just about medical advances. It's learning from it. It's, doing studies. It's science.
Yeah.
And so as long as we just keep up with our science, you'll be good.
It was just one of those things that it was very much in the public eye.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, once science started getting ahead of it, it didn't get sexy, make the headlines anymore. So we kind of, I, as someone who lived there, I kind of like, well, what happened? I mean, now, we heard about Magic Johnson beating it, and then that we were like, oh, well, I guess AIDS is cured, move on with our lives, and that was kind of how it in a big physicality thing it seemed to us. So I just kind of, when you said that, I was like, I'm curious. He's like, I just hear that, and I just had an opportunity. I was like, I'm curious about that.
No,
so,
it's a good question. No, it's just medical advances. It goes along with everything. With every field of medicine there's a ton of advances that occur. So,
gotcha.
Scientists are doing their job.
So let me ask this. We're about out of time here, but I do want to ask one more medical question.
Sure.
Here. If you could give a piece of advice to people living here in New Mexico, if you did, they always say, if you did this and today, you'd be a lot better off. Is there any golden rule or anything like if you did just this thing around here, you wouldn't have to see me as often? Is there any of those kind of tips or any information that you'd like to, give to people about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's going to be literally what you hear 1,000 times a day. It all comes down to diet. If we can just control our eating and the fats and the carbs, the sugars, if you can control that, you will see me less often.
Gotcha.
Blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, all of it comes down to diet.
Yeah, and it's tough.
Yeah, it all starts
really
in the
tough.
kitchen.
You get there and, you see your pizza or whatever, and you're like, oh, man. But here's the thing. If you get diagnosed with diabetes and those kind of things, there's lots of resources. Loveless can help you with that. Even setting you up in meeting and talking with specialists that can help plan some of the things we're talking about here. Because people get that sentence of saying, or diagnosis of saying, you know what, you've got diabetes. They treat it like a death sentence, and they think, great, I'm going to eat rice cakes for the rest of my life, or so much for a carb ever again. And you're like, no, it's about moderation. It's about treating and creating the things you love, but in healthier ways.
Exactly.
And there's a lot, and they're not all perfect, but a lot of them are pretty good. Like the pizza lovers out there, they can do a lot with pizza now that really mitigates the carbs and the sugars and some of the things that are bad for people with diabetes. They can do that, and that's where there's light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So.
Yes.
Of course, if you're looking for a healthcare provider and need someone here, you can always visit her office. Like she said, it's on North Main, 1112 North Main Street. If you'd like to schedule an appointment or have any questions, you can always call 575-627-4200.
Yes.
And then maybe one day if you come in early enough, swing by, grab a burrito at the Loveless restaurant cafeteria there, and bring it with you and give it to her and say, hey, I don't know if you had one of these yet, but
we'll give it a try.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll just cut the tortilla in half though.
There you go. Now, if it's for diabetes, you're not going to butter her up, man. It ain't going to work. But Sarah, is there anything you wanted to share? Anything we didn't get a chance to talk about that you wanted to make sure we got out there?
Just basically just reiterating, I am accepting new patients. I have a great patient following that has, followed me over the years here being in New Mexico and Roswell specifically.
So come on over.
And like I said, I do try and do most of the things myself. I can do multiple procedures if you have any skin lesions, joint issues, migraines, etc.
Do you know I figure with Southeast New Mexico and the sun and the heat, you probably do a lot of skin-related issues, don't you?
Yeah, so we can do biopsies and, cryo and things of that sort. So, again, I try and will help you as much as I can in the office before we have to send out.
Yeah, wear sunscreen and wear a hat if you're follically challenged like myself.
Yes.
Well, Sarah, thank you very much for spending time with us, and really do appreciate it. And I'd love to have you back anytime as your work schedule allows that.
Very good. Thank you for the invitation.
Awesome. Thank you, and have an awesome day. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
All right. It is 7:48. Don't forget, you can stop by her office, 1112 North Main Street here in Roswell, or call, which is probably the best way to go if you're not feeling well. Schedule an appointment, 575-627-4200. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.